Do you remember Battleborn? Huh? Hey? Battleborn? Do you remember it? Anyone? Anybody? Hello? Yes, Battleborn, Gearbox Software's take on the hero shooter with MOBA elements, was something of a disaster as highlighted in a post-mortem video we did on it quite some time ago. Its launch was not great. At the time, Blizzard's Overwatch had gotten the lion's share of attention. Despite moderately decent sales at launch, they dried up super quick, and its player base dwindled quite soon after launch. Basically, things started out low for Battleborn, and somehow it still found a sheer cliff to jump off of. The game eventually went free to play, although Gearbox wouldn't admit it, instead calling it a free trial and denying it was free to play, even though it looked like a free-to-play game, behaved like a free-to-play game, and was a free-to-play game. Surprise, surprise, Gearbox CEO Randy Pitchford was one to chat shit about this, saying their business model was a retail game with a DLC, not free-to-play, even though it was free to play the game. Yes, it went free to play. Battleborn went free to fucking play. A few months prior, Pitchford had said that the story about Battleborn going free to play was reckless, and that they have unannounced plans to do a trial version, which was the version that they did, which was free to play, so, you know, Pitchford being Pitchford. Anyway, Battleborn's officially fucking dead. There's no two ways about it. Its servers are still currently limping along, but 2K Games has announced plans to shutter them eventually. Meanwhile, Battleborn can no longer be downloaded from any digital storefronts. It's been pulled from those shelves, as sadly, not even going free to play has given Battleborn any relevance or sustainable success. I'd say it'll go down in history as that game that wasn't Overwatch, but something tells me Battleborn just won't go down in history at all. It's just gone down. So by February 24th, 2020, players will no longer be able to purchase any of the game's currency. And while new players can no longer access Battleborn, it is still currently playable, but only until January of 2021. So you've basically got a year and some change to enjoy Battleborn while it lasts with the other two players. And you know what? I think this is a genuine shame. It got a mixed response at launch, but personally, I really liked this game. I thought it was great. I actually genuinely did. It was colourful, it didn't take itself too seriously, the gameplay was rock solid, the different characters played really differently but in a cohesive way, and the actual character designs reminded me of like 90s action figures. In fact, if Battleborn had been a toy line instead of a game, well, at the very least, it couldn't have performed any worse. In fact, I'll tell you what, 2K Games, I know you won't because publishers like to sit on the rights of things like Dragons on Gold, but if you're not doing anything with Battleborn, I'll buy the rights off you. I'll buy the rights off of you and I will kickstart a toy line for it. I would buy an action figure of the little mushroom thing, but anyway, given how poorly it performed, I doubt we will see Battleborn in any capacity in future. I mean, one day they might try and resuscitate it, but it looks like a completely dead intellectual property now. Not just a game, but an IP, because, well, I mean, the whole thing's been a disaster. I can't think of any company that would look at it and say, yeah, that's worth rehabilitating. And despite my liberal sarcasm about it, I do genuinely mean it when I say that I think it's a shame and that I really enjoyed playing it. I would be way more interested in another Battleborn game than I would be in another Borderlands game. Now, I like Borderlands well enough, but there was just something about Battleborn that I found quite endearing. In any case, this is yet another reminder of the risks involved with jumping on board the live service bandwagon. If Battleborn is to be remembered for anything, then it should serve as a warning to any company that looks at the live service craze and thinks, wow, what a hot new thing. We can't lose, let's jump on board that. Oh, you can lose. you can lose very fucking badly, mate. Live services are only worthwhile as long as they're, well, alive. And it's not just about the servers shutting down either, although that is always the grim spectre of any game that relies on an online connection to be worth a shit. A live service requires a whole bunch of players buying the game and continuing to play the game. I bought Battleborn, I wanted to continue to play the game, but within a couple weeks, if that, I couldn't get a fucking match started. I played it on PS4 and I would wait in lobbies for ages and no one would show up. Not enough for a game anyway. For me, the news that Battleborn is officially shutting down is a little more than a formality. Weeks after it came out, way back when in 2016, it was fucking done. The goose was officially cooked. But of course the official shuttering of the servers is a bow on top. A reminder that video game archival is difficult, if not impossible, in the age of the live service. At least as far as preserving a video game experience the way it was designed. It's a reminder that even when you buy and download a game, publishers only consider you purchasing access to it, and they can revoke that access at literally any time. And this is all worth considering now that Google Stadia is out in the wild, as more and more companies eye the potential for streaming video game services. All of these services will only operate until companies decide, well, it's not making us any money, we'll close it down. And you're fucked. The game industry is constantly trading on faith, and it's constantly showing that it doesn't deserve any faith, it doesn't deserve any trust. And we're supposed to just take it on faith that these streaming services will stick around, that the things we buy on Google Stadia will remain playable, that Google, with its history of shutting down support for products and services, won't just give up on Google Stadia if it doesn't perform according to their expectations. If anything, the news of Battleborn's official death is a nice, timely reminder. Well, not nice, but it's certainly a timely reminder of the intangibility and the unpredictability of any kind of perpetual service in the video game industry. And that, at the very least, might be some potential good that Battleborn might serve. Poor little game.